Hello and welcome to our latest wee video. This week we are exploring two different seaside towns in two different countries, so come with us as we once again take Scotland on a shoestring international. For this wee adventure we will be visiting the town of Largs, which is located on the west coast of Scotland. But before that we are going down to the west coast of England. We're going to visit Cumbria, go to Maryport, eat their fish and chips and do their parkrun. The town of Maryport is located about an hour west of Carlisle, and today we'll be driving there following the coast of the Solway Firth, which should be very pretty. Today's adventure starts at Burgh by Sands, and it has this appropriately named pub. We thought we'd go in here for a bit of lunch before we started heading west. There's a statue of King Edward, who died here when he was leading a wee ambitious mission against King Robert the Bruce, King of the Scots. He didn't make it, nah. So there is the Greyhound Inn, and there is Beck's, who's going to let the Greyhound out. This is another area that is quite big if you're into Roman history, because this was the northern frontier of the Roman Empire. Hadrian's Wall ran from round about here all the way to Wallsend near Newcastle. Another day, another adventure, and another set of smells for De Niro to sniff. I think we'll be sniffing quite a lot today because we sniff quite a lot every day. All this is still pretty new to De Niro. He's not been at the rescue place that long, and although this is Scotland on a shoestring from England, if you look over there in the distance, that is Scotland. So we are not far away. We're just over the other side of the Solway Firth, in the Solway Firth area of outstanding natural beauty, no less. And our first impression of Maryport is, well, just look at it. Look at all the old buildings. Look at all the history. This is going to be quite cool. So we got parked, we got De Niro out the van, and we thought we'd go for a wee explore. We weren't quite sure where we were going to park for the night, but we were sure we would find somewhere. I mean, so far we always do. There's always somewhere to park a wee bright yellow camper van where nobody will notice it. The first stop when we got to Maryport was, predictably, a coffee place. So Bex went to the cafe to get a coffee, and I took De Niro for a wee walk around the shop. Thankfully, there was no repeat of the incident we had when we took him to the pet shop, where he decided what he really wanted to do was pee on the big display of treats. But to be fair, at that point he'd never seen a big display of treats, and this time he was on his best behaviour. Good boy De Niro, might even buy you a wee toy if you're lucky. You want one of those? No, not interested. Although round by the marina they have the usual not very welcoming signs, there is actually a really good camper van parking place just the other side of the breakwater, so we thought we would park there, leave the van there and go for a wee walk down by the marina, which as you can see is very pretty. But then again, everything looks amazing with blue sky and sunshine. And round the other side of the breakwater, near where we parked the camper van, there's a really cool beach. Now De Niro's new favourite thing is a beach, and my new favourite thing is flying a drone, so there's too many people about for him to have a run about on the beach at the moment, but that did not stop me putting the drone up and looking at this place from on high. We are definitely getting to grips with how the drone works and the things that it can do, and I think it gives a YouTube channel a whole new dimension, literally. So there you are, that is Maryport bathed in sunlight from above. The wee lighthouse here is called the Old Lighthouse, and it was built in 1846 and decommissioned in 1996. And as well as the wee lighthouse, there's also some very interesting looking old ruins. And then the town itself beyond the docks. This place looks like it's going to be well worth a wee explore. And here we are walking past the marina at Maryport, which is, I'm sure you can see, quite nice. Blue skies and sunshine, maybe spring has finally sprung. I know we've been saying that for about the last 4 or 5 videos, but this time, hopefully, it's true. Unfortunately, it's behind a big fence, but how cool is this old wooden boat? No idea what the history of that is, but that looks really smart. That's the sort of thing that we absolutely love. Anything that's old and decrepit because, I don't know, because I'm getting old and decrepit possibly. Oh, there we see Rebecca being a rebel. She's ignoring the sign that she hasn't seen yet, but she's going to shout at me. I just waved at her and said, come through this way, it's all safe. And now she's going to see the sign and go...
You ignored the sign, not me. I'm not a rule breaker. And now we're off to find a bit of dinner.
Yay, fish and chips. Or maybe not fish and chips, but...
Maybe.
Seafood. Apparently it's a really good place for seafood, so we've just been told by her dad, so might try that.
Seafood and cider.
Eat it. Seafood and eat it. Boom. Everyone a winner. Oh, and that's quite a nice little statue. That's called a fishy tail for reasons that we don't know. Maybe they're talking about fish. All this talking about fish is just making us hungry. So we went into a restaurant that was very highly reviewed on Google. And this is it. It's called the Lifeboat Inn. And we'll see you on the other side. We're not filming here. We'll see you when we're finished. Well, we were not let down by the Google reviews. The food in the Lifeboat was absolutely brilliant. We loved it. So we had a couple of pints of cider and then we headed back to the van in time to catch the sunset. So I put the drone up and got some footage of the sunset, which I think is really very nice. And then we thought, as there was absolutely no one about, we'd take De Niro down at the beach and see what happened if we let him off his lead. Because what used to happen was this. Nothing. But today was a little bit different. He's learning to be a dog. He can jump. Well, come on then. Zero. Wow. Come on then. Look at that tail go. Waggle, 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 waggle.
That was good jumping. Did you know greyhounds could jump like that?
No, I didn't.
That's why you need a 6-foot fence, I think.
Yes. That was a magnificent display of leaping like a gazelle from De Niro, which is ironic because it was only a few weeks ago when we were up on Skye that things like this had to happen. So don't you believe him that he's a big brave doggy that can jump and always has been. No, wasn't that long ago. He had to get carried and I had to get wet feet. De Niro has got over the river and does not know how to get back. I am not carrying him this time.
Come on then, boys. Come on then.
Yay! And with that high energy end to the day, it was time for bed. We knew we had to get up early the next day because what we had to remember was in England, parkrun start at 9 o'clock and in Scotland it's 9:30. It'd be a long way to come to forget that it started half an hour earlier. We're in Maryport, it's Saturday morning and that can only mean one thing.
Time for parkrun.
Time for parkrun. As you can see, Bex is modelling her Mr. Men leggings look, which is hot for this season apparently. And as usual for parkrun, you get there at 8:30 and there's nobody about. You think, oh no, are we in the right place? But by 9:45, 10:50, there's loads of people showing up. Some parkruns that are very picturesque and very pretty. This one, it's flat out and back, so
It's pretty.
it's pretty if you want to see the sea. Ask if it's pretty in about 4 or 5 k's time. A few hundred metres to go and we've quite had enough, as you can see. Bex always really speeds up towards the end. I had difficulty keeping up to film her, but there we are, we crossed the line and then we go and collect our finished token, and that is another parkrun ticked off the list of runs that we have done. Okay, and that is parkrun done, and while I'm still a bit out of puff, I will just show you some pictures of these boats and also some drone pictures of these boats that we actually took last night. Now it's time to go and find a cup of coffee and maybe a wee cake. We'll see what we do. And there we're going to go and explore Maryport with you good people. Oh, an old place. CM 1791 number 1 and number 2. So they've been there for a wee whiley. There's a traditional view of Bex heading to the coffee shop. How did we manage before we had Google Maps? We are going to find our post-parkrun coffee. Yay! We're in Wright's Cafe for our post-parkrun coffee and Bex has made a new friend. This is the person that doesn't like Greyhound. Is that you making new friends, is it?
She just walked over to me, so I had to say hello.
Of course you did.
She doesn't like the shiny floors in here.
Well, De Niro doesn't like jumping.
Haha.
So this is Maryport High Street, Main Street I guess. It's, as you can see, a bit quiet, but it's still quite early on a Saturday morning, so quite nice houses, quite nice buildings, it's quite a nice wee place. We are liking it and we're walking up here to see what is over this hill. And of course you've got to go into all the charity shops. Yep, we have to admit we do quite like a charity shop, and they are one of the things that we seek out on our wee adventures. This one had the usual array of tat, but also had some treasure. We're always looking for cool little bits and pieces to put in our Etsy shop, and we just found this in the charity shop. I quite like that. No idea how old it is, but it's quite nice, and if it doesn't sell, I'll keep it, but don't tell Bex, because I'm not allowed to bring any more junk home. But if I say I'm going to sell it, then that's fine. I'm sorry, what?
An animal headband and bows. You have to take a...
I think I'm okay for animal headbands and bows, thank you very much.
There's a whole collection here that De Niro might like.
Oh, are you going to buy De Niro a present?
I think he needs to go try. I actually think that one is our tartan.
It is. Oh, and look at all these amazing records in this amazing record collection. We really, really want the Banjo Spectacular, but we don't have a record player, so put it back. This is the town's old church, and with a lot of these places there is a memorial to the men who have died at sea. Obviously this town's lifeblood was the sea, so as well as a memorial to men that died at sea, there are guns that try to make men die at sea. A couple of really nice big chunky cannon. Right, we've been up through the middle of Maryport, we've had a look round, and there's not a great deal to show you guys. There are a couple of museums here. There's a Roman museum and a maritime museum, but we don't have time for those today because we've got to get back up north to Fife. And obviously my favourite thing about Maryport was the parkrun. Bexy's favourite thing.
Very good charity shops. 3 tops and 3 books. I'm sorted.
That's it, charity shops are ace.
They are.
Beck says I talk too much, this is her time to shine.
Well, no, there's nothing to talk about though, is there? I'm walking along the street past the blue car, the Sea Cadets building, another blue car, a man with gorgeous legs and he's short.
That's me, by the way, just in case you're wondering. And there's a nice little bit of inspiration for everyone on the end of this building. You are enough. Since we picked our tartan for our sort of logo screen and that, we've been looking for clothing in the right sort of scheme, so here is my new hat. A tartan hat in the Black Watch tartan, as used on our logo screens and our little ident screens and all that gubbins.
Stop getting too keen.
Look at that tail go!
She's going for a walk.
So De Niro had one last stretch of the legs and we said goodbye to Maryport. It had been a really nice wee town. We were surprised by how pretty and how pleasant it all actually was. So that's Maryport done, that is England done. We are now going to head back home to Fife. And next week we're going to see how Scotland's west coast seaside towns compared to England's. We're going to take a trip across to the west coast and we're going to go and visit the beautiful seaside town of Largs. Largs is, as you have mentioned before, on the west coast of Scotland. It's about an hour and a bit away from Glasgow and it is really the gateway to some beautiful scenery and also the gateway to the Isle of Cumbria. The best place to park in Largs is beside the big anchors at the marina, and here's some proper camper vans, and over there, looking a bit pathetic, is Mabel, but we love her, and as you'll notice she has still not been washed. As well as parking for camper vans, the marina also has lots of parking for boats, and as you can see it's a very big and very pretty marina. Largs is definitely not being outshone by Maryport when it comes to its marina. But where Largs does score is the view across the bay, because look at that, that's looking across to the Isle of Cumbria and then looking across to the Isle of Bute, which is a little bit further over round to the right. Really nice. And then you head into the town and you get this view up the coast, which is where we are shortly going to be going. The camper van parking at the marina is about 20 minutes walk from town, but you can walk there along the coastal path, which is traffic free and quite nice. You get some good view and you also get to go past some of the local points of interest. Over there is a Bex who is heading for our Wetherspoons, so she's looking at me slightly impatiently. And over there is the island of Cumbria, which we will be going to in a few months' time. We're going there to do a 10-mile run and we'll take you guys with us, but I won't show you the run in real time because all you'll see is me and Bex getting more and more tired and not wanting to really keep going, but we'll do it. 10 miles round the island sounds lovely. I don't know whose idea that was, but I'll tell you now, it was hers. I've never tried running with this phone like this. It probably isn't going to work very well. I don't imagine it's got great image stabilisation compared to the GoPro, but let's give it a shot. This is me running after Bex. Bex is over there, walking quite quickly, and I'm trying to catch up with her. And over there is a monument of some sort. It's some sort of marker or some sort of thing. You can see it, pointy thing in front of us. We're going to go now and try and find out what that is. So the pencil-shaped thing is imaginatively called the Pencil. It's a monument to the Battle of Largs. And don't worry if you've never heard of the Battle of Largs, because it's time for a wee bit of history. The Battle of Largs was fought in October 1263 between Scotland and Norway. Yeah, that sounds unlikely, but it's actually true. This place was all claimed by the Norwegians as part of their realm, and Alexander III, King of the Scots, wanted it to be part of the new Scottish consolidated kingdom. The battle was a resounding victory for the Scots and a resounding defeat for the Norwegians, who withdrew never to return. It brought to an end 500 years of Norwegian influence in this part of Scotland. When it was first decided that they were going to put up a monument to the Battle of Largs, what they actually wanted was a big statue, possibly of a Viking. Unfortunately, that was far too expensive, so what they got was something much cheaper. This, the Pencil. That's another quite pretty view, and out there's the two wee ferries that go backwards and forwards between Great Cumbria and Largs. They pretty much bimble backwards and forwards all day. As I said before, we will be going on them at some point when we go to do our 10-mile run over there. Well, the weather of late has been changeable. This morning it was cold, horrible and raining, and now just look at it. It's that old blue skies and sunshine that we keep showing you. We like Largs. And obviously not just because of the Wetherspoons with its aforementioned reasonably priced alcohol, although that does help.
I'm overdressed today in my big coat.
It's not big coat day today, certainly not. It's a wee bitty warm. Hello seagulls, don't poop on our heads. Oh, there are some nice seaside houses here. There's a bit of Edwardian or Victorian grandeur for you, besides some much more modern and much less grandeur. Oh, and there's a little thing that's got church-shaped windows. I guess that is just some sort of folly, to be honest. I don't think it's very... no, the inside of it is concrete. I'll tell you what that might be. That might be a thing from the Second World War, where they had bunkers hidden along the coastline. So that's all concrete on the inside and stone on the outside, so it's not an obvious target. Could be, or I could be talking absolute nonsense. Oh, it must be warm because Bex has taken off the big red coat, which unfortunately now means she's got to carry the big red coat. And Bex has just spotted this. It's more of that outdoor gym equipment that you never see anybody using, and unlike indoor gym equipment, you can't even hang your coat on it. So what is its point, I ask you? Oh, Bex is going to call me a liar. She's hung her coat on one and now she's going to use the other. There you see, a piece of outdoor gym equipment getting used. And it's better to do this now than it is after half a bottle of wine. Only half a bottle. Swing these hips. And as usual, we are here today because we are doing parkrun tomorrow. And the parkrun is basically up and down on this prom. And last time we did it, it was absolutely horrendous rain. So tomorrow it had better be nice, or I'm having a word with the parkrun weather gods. Although it is clearly part of Scotland, Largs, and indeed this whole part of the west coast of Scotland, was once claimed by Norway. Vikings lived here, hence the claim the Viking town. I wonder if the people of Oslo see that this is called the Viking town and say, wait a minute, you can't call yourselves that. After the Vikings had left, the Glaswegians moved in, and Largs was a very popular day trip and tourist destination for people from Glasgow. It was a place to go doon the water to the seaside and get out of the big smelly city. All these places have got all these nice little bits of civic architecture that would have been gifted by somebody or other who had lots of money and wanted to leave a mark on the town. We've seen it in all the places we've been, and in our videos we often point them out, so sorry if that's getting a bit repetitive. I'm now going to stand here waffling because I'm trying to get a shot of the fountain and the sun and the boat that's coming in. But the boat's moving really, really slowly, and I'm really running out of things to say about the fountain. It's a fountain, and there's a boat, and there's a Bex walking across, and there she is over there, and I've run out of breath, so I'll have to stop. Right, I thought I was going to pass out from talking too much, so I've actually stopped and started again, and there's the boat going out, and the boat coming in, and the fountain, and the blue skies, and all the stuff you could possibly want from a wee seaside resort like Largs. And there's Bex going to walk right across it and give us a wee twirl. Give us a wee twirl, Bex! Yay! I can't believe how this weather has turned out, which makes me all the more apprehensive for tomorrow. We have got a habit of going somewhere and it's nice, and then going the next day and it not being nice because this is Scotland. So we're going to go tomorrow for the parkrun, and hopefully the weather will be like this. This is a nice wee bridge, and it is the MacDougall Brisbane Bridge, named after Sir Thomas MacDougall Brisbane of Brisbane and Maccleston. No idea, but it's from the mid-1800s. So there, this is an 1800s bridge, and that is a modern day river and some hussies and a hill. And the next little point of interest along here is the War Memorial, which is modelled there by Bex. How is that for a pretty view? It's got Bex, it's got a War Memorial, and it's got an amazing red sandstone church spire, which looks really cool and open work. You can see right through it. I bet that is a pigeon's dream house. And again, it's a First World War Memorial where they had a little bit they added onto it for the Second World War. This happens quite a lot because they didn't expect to have a Second World War. They didn't think they would need an expandable war memorial. There's that nice red sandstone church a bit closer up. It's quite an impressive building. A lot of these towns, the biggest building is usually the church because that's where all the money was. So the boat has arrived at Largs and we have arrived at the pub. So we're going to go and get a wee drinky and something to eat. Yay! But not too much because tomorrow's parkrun. Boo! So we are in the paddle steamer, which is a Wetherspoons with an outside terrace bit beside the sea. It's lovely. And there is Bex, who is trying to make a decision about what to have for her dinner. This may take some time, so let's see. Bex, do you know what you're having yet?
Not yet.
That's not a massive surprise, but she always has the same thing anyway, so I could just order it and it would be here before she'd actually chosen it. After a Wetherspoons dinner that quite frankly wasn't the best, definitely a bonus point to Maryport for the food, we had a wee nightcap before heading back along the prom to Mabel to see what De Niro had been up to in her absence. The prom was all lit up at night with lots of red, white, blue and green fairy lights, and some of the statues were also illuminated. This is really quite cool to see. You get a different perspective on these places at night. It's a very pretty wee tune night or day. We were amazed when we woke up the next day. It was warm and it was sunny, so we set off for the parkrun, which is on the prom, overlooked by this imposing looking gentleman here. When we arrived at about 9:15, there was only the volunteers there, but within 10 minutes a big throng had arrived ready to take part in today's wee run. Walk or jog, you don't have to run. And 28.5 minutes later, we were done. If we were trying to separate Maryport and Largs based on how long the runs took us, we couldn't, because it took us almost exactly the same time. They're both flat and they're both out and back on the prom, so there's no hills, there's nothing horrible like that to contend with. And with parkrun done, the rest of the day was our own. We took De Niro for a walk along the prom, which was just starting to come to life. The shows were starting up and Dumbo the flying elephant was cleared for takeoff. All the wee cafes and kiosks were starting to open. It was starting to really feel a bit like summer, and we've been waiting for this for a few months now. On our wee walk round Largs, we found two really nice sculptures, although they're very different. One is this sort of stylised longship, which is the emblem of the town, the Viking town, and the other was this Sasquatch, which, no idea, but he does look quite fierce and imposing. I know we said this was going to be a Scotland versus England battle, but actually both these places are really nice and both these places are well worth a visit. They're both lovely little seaside towns and they've both got a lot going for them, so if you get the chance, why not just go and visit them both? And then you can decide for yourself which is best, Largs or Maryport. And on that note, thank you very much for watching this double-headed episode of Scotland on a Shoestring, and we'll see you soon for more. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and all that gubbins so we know we're doing something right. We bought De Niro a nice new hat so he can look all posh, and he's decided what he really wants to do is eat it. De Niro, why are you eating your hat?
He doesn't want to have to wear it.
He doesn't want to have, yeah, that's probably true. Because it looks silly.